Yeah, is it the same one?
That's hilarious.
And they put a flag on it to get quick wolves.
It was our second gig, yes.
Is that like a pipe dream or are you for real?
And he had a kick drum made out of a snare. I was assuming the synthesizer was a compact something, but it's like this big. It's huge.
It fits in there better than I would have thought.
It seemed like a natural fit, even though, like, looking back, maybe it's a little unusual.
You guys are good.
Doesn't sound decayed to me.
Okay, so we gotta back up a little bit. So last year, 2016, we started this band, and we love biking, we love music. And so we talked about the idea of somehow being able to actually make music while pedaling. It's like combining the best of both worlds, right?
Victoria reached out to me in a text and she had said something like, would you be interested in playing on the back of a cargo trike? Are you really asking or are you just kind of like fantasizing? Like is that like a pipe dream or are you for real?
And I was in Perennial cycle, getting some work done on a bike. And I was talking with someone about wouldn't it be cool to use like a cargo bike to do a rolling gig? How could you get a synthesizer on the back of a cargo bike? And KARL overheard the conversation.
She was like, no, I talked to KARL and he seemed really interested. I was like, really?
We had thrown around the idea of just putting the party bike sound system on my big dummy with my 8-foot long Bikes at Work cargo trailer.
We're gonna put Victoria on the back of a surly big dummy with a synth in her lap.
In my head, I think I was assuming the synthesizer was like a compact something, but it's like this big. It's huge.
And then KARL was gonna pull me in a trailer behind the big dummy on my drum set, which I think would have been pretty cool too.
You know, the conversation led one thing to another, and he's like, look, we've got access to the cargo trike, which he designed and built, and it would have power to power a rolling synthesizer.
So we started sending some messages back and forth with dimensions of the bed and how much space there is and kind of how we might power it and what we might use for amplification and a power source.
It was just logistical. Could we fit the drum kit?
KARL sent us measurements of the cargo trike. I think it was like something like 36 inches by 52 or some thereabouts.
Brandon and Victoria had taped off an area in their studio space that was the same size as the cargo trike's bed, and they had tucked their, kind of played with their configuration until they had everything tucked in there just right.
As soon as we saw it, we're like, okay, well, we can't use my regular kick drum. I started devising like an alternative to a kick drum. I was looking at some cocktail kits. They're like these really portable, really custom designed drum sets that sometimes have like a floor tom on the top and like a bass drum beater on the bottom. So like the same drum does two different things. That seems pretty extreme. Like I don't know how much time I can invest to this, much less like cash. So I was looking around the studio and instead I found a snare drum that I wasn't using. I picked up a bass drum beater from Craigslist for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. I just kind of started sketching things out and I came up with this threaded rod bolt washer situation that just compressed a couple of boards together, and then I put a little 5/8 inch board on the underside to clamp the bass drum beater to. So I had the kick, and then I fit my snare drum and the hi-hat. I'd been using this like chewed up cymbal that I'd had for years. I put this little stretch arm on the side of the hi-hat and stretched it out, so I was able to have like 2 cymbals and 2 drums.
Here's the deal. We were supposed to meet here at 5. After work, we were all done with work, everybody meets here at the studio. KARL was gonna bring the cargo trike in, we're gonna get everything strapped down. I was thinking maybe an hour. I had to be back at work like at 8 that night for a concert, and I'm like, no problem.
It took us over the course of 6 hours to get everything set up just right into the cargo trike. We had to go on some weird field trips to get some power inverters and ratchet straps.
We had to get like the speakers from KARL's house.
Speakers that KARL had built that day.
And that was fun. We got to ride on Lake Street in rush hour on Friday evening. It was fantastic. In the back of the cargo trike. So we got back to the studio and we started working, getting things strapped down.
What can we do to secure people and instruments.
I'm a really big fan of using bicycle inner tubes for a tie-down system. I work on bicycles all day long, so I have a very slow but consistent supply of inner tubes with holes in them, and I hate to just throw them away.
Like, it took us like 4 tries for Victoria and I to get the synth just right, because we didn't know what we were doing. KARL had gone off to get pizza, and he kind of said, well, I'll be back in a little bit. You just start strapping stuff down. We're like, all right.
And so he left Brandon and me here at the studio with a bunch of old tubes and some straps and said, okay, I'll show you how to do this a little bit. He strapped down one amplifier in like 30 seconds and it was not moving at all with some old spare tube. And he's like, okay, now you know what to do.
So we took some inner tube and started strapping things down, and we like had a competition between the two of us on who could cinch it down even more.
I don't know, we were probably working on strapping things down for an hour and a half or so, like the drum kit and the synthesizer stand and all this stuff, and we were feeling pretty good.
We thought we did pretty good, and KARL came back and he was like, you did all right, but we should do it again. I was like, all right, show me how to do this. So we took some ratchet straps and wrapped them around the hi-hat bass and around the kick drum and the snare. Well, I was sitting on top of it, and there was a ratchet strap to my left and a couple going through my legs. And so I had to step carefully to get into it. But once I was in, I felt like I was in. Then KARL shook the cargo trike, just like as I'm sitting on it, and I nearly toppled over the back. I was like, well, we're gonna have to figure out a way to keep me on here.
We also used a lot of ratcheting tie-down straps, the flat nylon webbing kind with the ratchet handle on those, because they didn't get really tight. Brandon had one over his knee because he was on a drum throne using both feet, so he had nothing to really hang on. So if I turned a sharp right, he was just going to roll right off the back. So we actually had one strap over his left thigh.
He was cinching really far down, but from underneath my right leg and over my left leg, so it was just like a seatbelt just for my left leg. It was perfect. Like, I didn't need to move my left leg as much. I could modulate the hi-hat with my foot, and my right leg was totally free, and I couldn't even be pushed off. So I had a makeshift seatbelt thanks to KARL's ingenuity. We were going to run a mixer, and we were going to run a synth, and we had to power these speakers. If we had a synthesizer that was battery operated, like a microborg or something, that would have been ideal, but we didn't have it, and all the songs we've written are on this particular synthesizer, so we had to come up with some sort of a situation. KARL had the idea that we were going to run everything off of the cargo trike.
There's a built-in voltage regulator on the trike that runs off of the battery that runs the power assist motor on the trike itself. We were going to try to run an inverter that's designed to be used like in an automobile on an automotive 12-volt system, which is normally well above 12 volts.
So he tested it, and it didn't put out enough to power both the speakers and the synth and the mixer. So what we did was we segregated them. We had the speaker system and the amplifier for that, and then we had the synth and the mixer. We basically had like the noises and then where it would come out of.
So we ended up just grabbing my 12-volt lead acid battery from the original Party Bike sound system and using that to run the inverter, because I was putting out about 13 volts. And that worked fine until it ran out of juice, once you're about 3/4 of the way through the sound set. So we had made it a good long ways, more than half of the ride, and then the keyboard sound just kind of pooped out on us.
I wish we had brought a backup power source because the gig ended so early. But that's okay, because it was ephemeral, it was what it was, and that was actually part of the experience, so it ended up pretty rad.
Like, performing on the cargo trike was really difficult. We had we did like a dry run on the way over there. Victoria kind of mimed playing the synth while we were on the Greenway and passing through traffic, and I was kind of just playing some beats. And it was awkward. It was really weird. It took a lot of getting used to because there was turns and bumps and unexpected wobbles. It was difficult, but once we kind of got the rhythm of it, it was a lot easier than I thought.
Best playing, I think, was on the Greenway. I think we had both kind of settled in a bit.
first, it was like we're rolling out of an alleyway, we're coming to a stop, we're going down a hill, we're running over a bunch of bumps.
It was so bumpy.
It was really interesting to see everybody's reactions.
It was invigorating, just the reaction of the people. Seeing us go by was a lot of fun to kind of be your own personal parade.
But nobody's expecting like a three-wheel electric assist machine plowing through their life with music coming out the back of it.
But you could see people about 2 blocks ahead of us, so they start to kind of turn their heads and, what is this ruckus coming at us?
I think the gig went great.
Nobody was expecting it. I don't think anybody had